Look at this gorgeous bread. Today's recipe, it's definitely worth your time. Hello. I have been working on some new recipes lately. One of those is potato bread. Now, I wanted to do a potato bread recipe that was really easy for you. Something that's not overly complicated. And something that doesn't require you have to cook up a bunch of fresh potatoes either. So I fixed this one, so we're going to be using some dried potatoes. Potato flakes. Think about it. This is not one of those times where you really need fresh potatoes in order for it to come across the right way. You just need potato. So that gets it in there easier, and it uses a product that is shelf stable and that works very, very well. This is a really delicious recipe, kind of a sticky dough, but it's fun to work with, and you can turn it into loaves. Get you a loaf pan. If you want, you can make you some dinner rolls. I would say use maybe some muffin pans, or you can use custard dishes, or dishes like this that are a little bit more fancy maybe, or possibly even use some ramekins and make some buns. Hey, potato roll buns for your hamburgers. Yeah, delicious. Okay, let me show you the recipe. This one's easy to make, it's fun, and you're gonna like it when you try it. Come on over. Today's recipe is about potatoes. So here we have it right here, folks. This is simple dried potatoes, dehydrated powdered potatoes, whatever you want to call them. They're potato flakes. And it works perfect in this recipe. Up here I've got some flour that I have already measured into my sifter. And then I have some salt, sugar, yeast, and water. And this simple combination makes for a fantastic and easy to make potato bread that you can turn into potato rolls or anything you want right there. When it comes time to make our dough, there's a few things that we need to do. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to take my yeast and my sugar and I'm going to pour it right there over my flour and just sift those right on in. Then I'm going to add in the salt and the potato flakes. I'm going to stir those in with a whisk after it's been sifted. I do that separately because I don't like to dump salt and yeast directly into each other. The salt will kill yeast, and even though it's dry, when it becomes liquid, that's when we're going to run into a problem. So I want to separate them as much as possible. The salt gives us flavor and it does slow the rise a little bit, but it's called controlling the rise, and it's using the right amount of salt to get the right flavor. So I'm going to sift this out with those, and then we're going to whisk in the other dry ingredients, which is going to be the salt and the potato flakes. Then we're going to get busy making this. I recommend using a mixer. You can do this by hand, and you need to know now, this is going to be a sticky dough. All right, so it's going to stick to your fingers, it's going to stick to everything. I use a little bit of a spray coating on my pans to prevent the bread from sticking, and that's a baking spray coat with the flour included. Your water, before mixing it in, go ahead and heat it a little in the microwave. Use a thermometer and bring it up to 110 degrees. It's going to give you a faster rise. I've got everything mixed together here in my mixer bowl, and now I'm checking the temperature of my water. That looks like I'm around 112 degrees, depending on where this is in the bowl. Yeah, 111 now, 112. Okay, so we're right in the bracket. I need my water about 110 to 115 degrees before I mix. That's just perfect. That'll wake up that yeast, make it warm and comfortable for it, and it'll grow quickly, and that's what we need right there. I've placed my dough right here in this glass bowl. Remember, yeast doesn't get along well with metal, so rise either in plastic, glass, or ceramic. This one, glass, I like to do an inverted bowl on top. It allows me to see what's going on real easy, okay? Push it back, give it time, be patient. This decides when it's ready. When it's 3 times the size that it starts out right now, then it's ready to be punched down and put in other containers. If it's going to be a loaf, put it in a loaf pan. If it's going to be dinner rolls or something like that, then separate it into the pans that you'll need. Fill them about halfway full before rising. It looks like the dough has tripled in bulk, and that's what you're looking for right there. So that's a big change. This right now, you just need to punch it down and then knead it gently in your hands just a couple of times around. That's all you have to do. Nothing intense. Just kind of shape it into an even log, if you want to say, or cylinder, to drop in the bottom of your loaf pan. And you know, different loaf pans are different sizes, so folks, yours may be a little longer or narrower or whatever. That's okay. It'll still work out fine. I'm going to punch this down, get it in here after I spray this with some of this non-stick, and that's only because this is such an extremely sticky dough. It could stick after baking. While I'm rising it in this pan, I'll just lightly cover it with some plastic wrap. My second rise has finished up, and we're at the point where I'm just going to put a knife mark right down the middle of it. I want to slice about a 1/2 inch deep straight down the middle. Now you can also do a couple of diagonals if you'd like. Generally when I'm working with a loaf pan like this, I'll do one down the center or one diagonally and just leave it at that. Now what's important about slicing the bread open, it's not just for appearance, folks. It allows that expansion. It allows it to open up and gives it room to push out, where this outer layer may not allow that as much as it gets baked. So we cut it. The next thing, it goes into a 450-degree oven, and it usually takes 20-25 minutes. It's going to depend on your altitude, humidity, and several other factors. So watch that closely, starting at 20 minutes. When it's evenly brown and you thump it and it has something of a hollow sound to it, then it's good. You turn it out after it's cooled enough to handle the pan. It's very simple, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get on. The oven is at 450 degrees. The loaf goes in the center. Check it in 20 minutes. Now folks, the quantities I have given you here is enough for one loaf, and you can divide that down into 4 to 8 or more different sizes of rolls or buns. So, you know, whatever size you want to make, they're there. Simple recipe, we're going to be using 300 milliliters of water, and that is also the equivalent of 1 1/3 cup, okay? Now I'm going to be using a lot more metric these days because I think it's just a little more accurate. The yeast down here, this is 1 package of yeast. That will be 7 grams of yeast. And when it comes to the salt, right back here, we're using 2 milliliters of salt, which also measures to 2 grams. Also a 1/2 teaspoon, that's what that is. Right over here, we have about 3 teaspoons of sugar. Now that sugar weighs out to about 7 grams, okay? Simple enough. The potato flakes, you're looking at about a 1/2 cup of potato flakes. The weight on that though is going to be 34 grams. The flour, now this is a neat little trick, something I'm going to mention to you. Put your sifter down in a bowl and then measure the flour directly into the sifter as you're weighing it out. It's already done. Now that flour, we're using 360 grams of flour. That's it right there, folks. It's a very simple recipe and definitely worth your time. Let's take a look at the finished product. This is out of the oven and it is cooled. Still warm, but cooled enough that it can be handled. I wanted to go ahead and just slice into it. Now, as you can see there, it is crusty bread. All right, and you can hear the crustiness of it. It is wonderful. Now look at the inside of this. Look at this. This is the crumb. This is what your bakers always talk about, the quality of the crumb. Look how even it is. Yet the pores, while evenly spaced, are much different sizes from each other. Some big ones, some small ones, and it's all over the place. This is what we're looking for in a bread that is high hydration, right there. It's dead on. So I've got a beautiful, delicious potato bread that's worthy of all kinds of different things you can do with this. Enjoy this recipe. Yeah. So good. You know, the best part about doing all these recipes for you folks is getting to enjoy each and every one. This potato bread, this is a really good one. Whether you're going to make you a loaf or whether it be little rolls like this or buns, however you'd like to do it, These come out really good. They're a bit crusty. They have a beautiful crumb on the inside. This recipe is fantastic. And I got a lot more fantastic recipes. Look right underneath this, that description box. You'll see a link to Texas Cooking Today. Take a look at that. Got a lot of recipes there, really good stuff. Take a look also at my website. That link is down there also, and that is where you're going to get these recipes. You're going to find t-shirts, prints, and a lot of other stuff that I do. Thank you very much for watching this, folks. Please enjoy your potato bread. I will. And have a good day. Bye-bye.